What's up, Mavens? It's Gabe Godinez with the Maven Workshop. Today we have a very special guest, a good friend of mine, Toby Villegas, the CEO, uh, founder, big boss man of Unassailable Company and many other endeavors that we're going to talk about today. So, welcome, Toby.
Thank you, man. Thank you. That's a nice intro there.
Freestyling off the dome, gotta,
Yeah.
gotta do it.
No.
So today I just want to talk to you. I want to obviously showcase a lot of the things that you're doing. For the fact of that you're out there using your gift, and that's what the Maven Workshop is about. Maven is someone who's dazzlingly skilled in their field, and then wants to share that
hmm
gift with other people. Wants to be able to share it and impart it on other people for their benefit, for the benefit of everyone around us. So, and I know that's what you're doing in the community. I've seen lots of things that you're doing with your clothing, with barbershop, with everything, and we'll talk about all that stuff. Um, but we got to go through the regular like little interview questions that I wrote down my notes, and I gotta say, hey Toby, what about this? So just first real
Yeah.
basic question is, what's something that most people that are familiar with you, people that know you, or know your company, what is something that 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 they don't know about you, right? They're familiar with your business, they're familiar with what you're doing in the community, but what's something that maybe we don't know about you?
Um, I think it's not only just with me, but it's with anyone that has different things that they're working on, whether it's a business, whether it's projects, whether it's school, career, whatever it is. A lot of people have a tendency of seeing, what's going well. They'll see the brand, they'll see the barbershop, they'll see the nonprofit, and oh, it's going well for him because he's doing all these
Hmm.
things. But what people don't know is all the work and all the things on the back end that have to happen in order for all those things to be fulfilled. Like for example, like the clothing brand, right? Like, designing, communication with the manufacturers, selecting the right material to print on, picking up the material, bagging the material, taking pictures of the material, posting the material on the website, identifying a certain price. Those are all the back end things. When people just like go on the website and they see it, like, oh, okay,
Right.
I see the shirt, I see the hoodie, but there's like a back end to it, right? So what people don't really know is, like earlier, you and I were talking before the interview, and we have a tendency of, knowing what to say
Mm-hmm.
to people,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't sometimes say those same things to
Right. Right.
ourselves. And the one thing that I would like to share with people is, just the struggle, the hard work, the back end stuff that nobody sees. But when you start to accomplish those things, those are the things that actually make you even more proud of why you're doing everything, because everything goes well, and all you people see the outside part, people see the end result, but you yourself, me myself, I see everything that I did to get to
Yeah.
that part. So that's the one thing that people probably don't know
Why do you
about
think
me.
that is that people? I mean, I think just as human beings, we tend to do that, and I think social media has killed us on that. But why do you think it is that people tend to only focus on the positive and not see the, not so much the negative, but the hard work part of it?
Yeah. Um, I think it's just our perception. We see
Mm,
what we want to see. And
yeah.
I've heard a quote before. It says, uh, "If you change the way you see things, the things that you see will change." Right.
Oh wow.
So people always want to see the positive part. They want to see the success part. They want to see the ultimate goal. And I think that's why a lot of people never really achieve their goal,
Mm,
because for example, like they'll have somebody that they look up to, whether it's a mentor, a celebrity, or somebody that's already in business doing whatever it is they want to do,
yeah.
and all they see is the end result. They see the success, they see the high number of sales, they see the quality product, they see all that stuff, and they don't understand the hard work that it takes to get to that point. Not only the
Right.
hard work, but also the time. that it takes to get to that point. So what happens is people will have a tendency of, staying so focused on the end result, and they don't have an understanding of the work that needs to be applied, that when they start applying the work, they say it's too much. This is
Yeah.
too much for me. It's not worth it. Or I didn't think it was going to be this hard. And
Right.
and I think that it goes back to our nature, right? Where, for example, people that go to church,
Hmm.
sometimes we go to church and we're joyful, and then sometimes we go to church and we have like this shame in us because of something that we did during the
Right.
week,
Yeah.
that causes us to think to ourselves, "Oh, I'm not worthy enough." But
Right.
nobody else sees that besides you, because you're the only one that knows yourself that well,
Yeah.
and you can actually know, like, "Oh, this is what I did, and I wonder if anybody else knows." Like, nah, dude, like nobody else knows.
Right.
So instead of focusing on, the end result, so the final product, let's start with identifying that it's gonna be hard, it's gonna be tough, but we have to have the thing in our head where not only are we constantly praying and we're seeking God and His wisdom and His understanding, those are all things that will get us to the next level. But I think the next level is when you yourself have the ability to motivate yourself. That's the game changer in all of it.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Yeah. So, dude, those are words of wisdom right there, man. Cause I know for myself, and like you said, we talked a little bit before, but and I've shared this with yourself and many other people who are in pursuit of a, a dream, a goal. It's something that, if you can't get to that place where, you wake up in the morning, whether you're on the good side of the bed, bad side of the bed, it's raining, it's sunny, whatever, you got money in the bank, you don't got money in the bank, to be able to get up and chase that dream, and
Mm-hmm.
motivate yourself, because nobody else is going to do it for you. you
Nobody else
know
is going to do it for you.
that's what I tell my wife sometimes. It's, we we look at the crazy state of our world sometimes, and I tell her, I said, it's me and you. It's me and you against the world right now. Like, and maybe not, completely. We got people in our corner, but it's sometimes it feels like that. It feels like nobody else is going to do it. We got to do it. We got
Mm-hmm.
to go out and hustle and struggle and fight for our family. And it's the
Mm-hmm.
same thing with your business. Same thing with your dream, with your goal, whatever it is that you're pursuing in life. Um, whatever it is that God has put on your heart to chase.
Mm-hmm.
Um, is definitely something that you got to be able to kick yourself in the butt sometimes, because
Yeah.
ain't nobody else gonna do it.
I
Um,
think I think my one of my favorite parts,
uh-huh.
the thing that dramatically changed everything for me
Mhm.
was the gratitude that I
Mm.
had towards the opportunity. I remember
Good.
when I first started all my endeavors,
Uh-huh.
all I ever asked God for was an opportunity. That's all I ever asked for. I believe that I'm smart enough. I believe that I'm driven enough. I believe that I'm disciplined enough to be able to go for whatever it is that I want to go for. But all I ever needed was a chance. And God graciously gifted me with opportunity. So when I'm sitting in my barbershop,
Hmm.
when I'm bagging merchandise, when I'm donating items to the nonprofit, when we're doing all these things, planning, whatever it is, doesn't matter how tired I feel,
Yeah.
I just feel grateful for the opportunity. So because of that gratitude,
Hmm.
you need to give it 110%. Because I remember not having it and
Yeah.
wanting it,
Mm.
and now I have it. Steve Harvey said this once. He said, "I can't complain about what's on my plate when all I ever wanted to do was eat."
Dang.
That's it right there, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's and the gratitude, is something that I think in society over social media has become popular over the last, few years or whatever. But it's something that, definitely, if you don't have that, whether it's something that, is the trend on social right now, if you don't have that, like deeply are grateful for what we have in
Mm-hmm.
life. And that's like, I've seen things where it says, where it compare, people in America are complaining about, life, and that's not to say that people in America don't have, hard times, but, there's always somebody that's got it worse than you. There's
Always.
somebody in another part of the world that, doesn't have a roof over their head, doesn't know where the next meal is coming from at all. Like, doesn't know if it's going to be a day, 2 days, a week. They may not make it to tomorrow. Like, so to be grateful for the breath in our lungs when we wake up, when our eyes open up, just the fact that we
Yep.
got the opportunity to wake up today,
Yep.
is a blessing. It's something that I think, carries you through uh different situations in your life. um
Mm-hmm.
Talking about all that stuff, and like you're mentioning about different challenges and things in business, and people not realizing things that we're challenged with. What would you say are some challenges that you're dealing with right now? With any one of your businesses, and it doesn't need to be like, all the details, but just, maybe a mental thing, or logistical thing, um,
Yeah.
and you know, yeah, just talk about that a little bit. Challenges.
Um, I think that with any business, one of the toughest parts of it, and I'm fairly new to business, but I listen to people that have success. Like I listen to Warren Buffett,
Hmm.
I listen to Jeff Bezos, I listen to those guys.
Yeah.
From my experience lately, it has been that it's hard to find quality employees.
Mm.
It's hard to find people that are committed because when you own your own business, you're the hardest worker.
Yep.
And and if you own your own business and you're not the hardest worker, then there's a cap as far as how successful your business is going to
Right.
be because you always want to be the ceiling of your
Yeah.
business. You always want to be the best one in your business, and then compare everybody else to yourself.
Hmm.
And I think there's a huge separation between being a business owner and then your most dedicated employee. Um, just only because it's not their business.
Right.
The way that you see it isn't the way they see it, and that could be a good thing, and it doesn't always have to be a bad
Right.
thing. But I think that one of the hardest things that I find right now is finding dedicated, committed employees. Also, too, the era that we're in right
Hmm.
now, the things that have happened, for example, with
Yeah.
COVID, and a lot of companies laying people off, and providing um, unemployment checks and stimulus checks to
Right.
people, which they helped out a lot of
Yeah.
families. But also, too, there's a lot of people that received those supports that didn't really need those
Yeah.
supports. And what's happening now is I just read an article like 2 weeks ago, and it was funny to me how the United States has the most jobs available of pretty much all time right
Right.
now, but also too the number of unemployment registrations is also very
Wow.
high. So that doesn't make sense to me how we can have a lot of jobs available and then there's also a lot of people asking for
Yeah.
unemployment. So the thing that I see there is people just don't want to go back to
Right.
work. And because people don't want to go back to work, now we have a smaller pool. And we as like business owners, now we have a smaller pool of people who we can select from to come to work for
Right.
us. So we don't have those high level employees, those energetic employees, those disciplined employees available right now for whatever reason they don't want to work. But now we have this small pool that we have to select from. And selecting from that pool is hard because we don't know exactly what we're getting.
Mm.
And that's not only with the barbershop, but I see it in other businesses as well. I see it with the clothing brand
Uh-huh.
too. And the way I see it with the clothing brand is when I place an order for, whatever, a hoodie, t-shirt, hats, or whatever the case. Right now, the manufacturing companies, their turnaround time from receiving your order and then actually manifesting it and producing that order, it takes a little bit longer than
Uh-huh.
normal, only because they too have a hard time finding
Mm.
employees. So finding good employees affects multiple businesses to where, for example, like my
Yeah.
clothing brand, even though I only have one employee, I still get affected by the lack of employees from the manufacturing companies because their turnaround time is taking that much
Yeah.
longer. So I would say that one of the struggles is just finding good employees, dedicated people who are committed to whatever your agenda is, and they help you
Yeah.
push it out.
Yeah, I just saw something. Actually, I heard it on the radio this morning. I was taking my daughter to school, and they were talking about supply chain shortages, and just how there's ships off the coast that are just sitting there with with stuff that needs to be brought on shore and shipped to where it never needs to be shipped, but the lack of employees, the
Mm-hmm.
lack of manpower, to be able to move that stuff around. I still trip out. I think over on H Street down here in Chula Vista, the Tacos El Gordo is closed on Taco Tuesday, which is
That's funny, man. I was about to
yo,
say that
that
right now.
that is crazy to me that a taco shop is closed
Yeah,
on probably the day that they would make the most business, but they have to close because they can't handle the business because they don't have employees. Like that's like wild to me.
that's what it says on the sign
What's
too.
that?
I saw the sign. That's what it
Yeah,
says on the sign. It says goes on Tuesdays due to lack of
that's
staff.
wild.
And I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, like first off, why would you close on probably the busiest
Yeah,
day that you have? Taco Tuesday. But it also too, like to me, it's like it's like telling the community, like, yo, you guys as customers, you probably want us to be
yeah,
open on Tuesdays, but we can't be open on Tuesdays because we don't have
right.
employees. So what does that
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Come work and help us, and then we'll
right.
open up on Tuesdays.
Yeah, man. That
Yeah.
whole everything with the unemployment and everything is wild to me. Like you said, that you don't know what you're getting, and I feel like you were talking about the high level employees or higher level employees. Um, I think during this whole pandemic thing, I mean, I'm sure there's a handful of them that have taken advantage of 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 stimulus checks and unemployment, this, that, and the other. But um, I feel like there's also probably a big pool of those people that said, "Hey, I don't need to go to work. I could work from home. I could figure this out." And I think there's a lot of people that kind of said, "Well, wait a minute. Let me try this entrepreneurial, path. Let me see if I can make something happen on my own." I've worked all these
Mm-hmm.
months. I've been here at home, closer to my kids, closer to my family, didn't have to commute, saving money on gas, all these different benefits that I think is getting people really, thinking like, well, what else can I do? I have these skills, I have these
Mm-hmm.
talents, um, and ultimately that's, uh, you know, this podcast, I want to stimulate that. I want people to see, people like yourself who you got a 9 to 5, you're working 9 to 5, you got a regular employment, but you're grinding on the side, you're hustling on the side, you got other things that you're doing just in case, right? We never know what's going to happen with this job or that industry or this company, um you know to, to the way things are going now, man. Tomorrow they might ban barbershops, bro, and then what? At least you got a clothing, at least you got a clothing company, at least you got a nonprofit, like at least
Yeah.
you've spread yourself out in that way, you know what I mean? And that's why I just want people
Mm-hmm.
to think like that, like you have things
Yeah.
inside of you that you can use.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's also not even like having all these different things and thinking to myself, oh, just in case. To be honest with you, I've never thought that. I never thought like, oh, just in
Yeah,
case this doesn't work out, let me go with this. But like I said earlier, I listen to men who are already successful. So my thing is, before
yeah,
I continue on that topic, just so that it makes sense, my thing is this. So when I was younger, my dad was my role model, and then at age 11, he ended up going to prison. He was pretty much gone for
hmm,
about 16 years. So from age 11 to 27, like I had to find I didn't have to, but I purposely would look at men
yeah,
that were successful, whether it was manager at my first job or whether it was my football coach or the principal at my school. If I just saw a man that
yeah,
looked to be successful, I would like observe him, maybe observe him, and I would watch how he moves and how he carries himself, how he would talk, he would use his
yeah,
hands to speak, the way he would talk to people, the way he conducted his business. I would watch those people, those men, and not necessarily take every trait that they had and have me develop that trait, I would just say, oh, okay, I like the way this man
Right.
takes care of his family. I like the way this man uses vocabulary. I like the way that this man carries himself. You know, he's fit, he's healthy. You know, he goes to the gym. I like
Right.
that. Let me do that. I like how this man over here has multiple businesses. Okay, let me try to do that. I like how this guy manages the store. Let me do that. So I would just watch men and learn from that. So that always stuck with me. So growing up
Uh-huh.
and seeking more, I would listen to interviews of Jay-Z. I would listen to Warren Buffett. I would listen to Jeff Bezos. I listened to Bill Gates. I listened to Nipsey
I was gonna
Hussle.
say
I
you got to throw
listened to
Nipsey
all
in there,
those
bro. I
guys.
always see you posting about Nipsey Hussle.
Oh, dog. And then also too, we got
Yeah,
to
yeah.
throw in Jesus in there too, because I read his word, and his first and foremost thing was to
Hmm.
be a servant to us. He came down. He could have been served, but
Yeah.
he became a servant. So that tells me it doesn't matter how much power or
Right.
how much success you have, like we have to be a servant. So back to the question,
Uh-huh.
to what we're talking about. It's not necessarily about in case this fails or that fails. But what I've noticed between all those men that I just named is that they don't only have
Hmm.
one source of income; they have
Right.
multiple sources of income, so that they can be generating money from all these different things and not have just
Right.
one thing be their thing. Because if that one income or that one source of income, for whatever reason, happens
Yeah.
to slow down,
Right.
everything else can still feed you. If um, if all of them are doing well,
Right.
then you're doing well. So my goal has always been that. Even right now, like last
Uh-huh.
night, I was hanging out with some friends, and now we're talking about real estate. Now we're talking about generating some income from apartment complexes or
Right.
even like a duplex complex. Now that conversation is coming along, right? So now we have the clothing brand, the barbershops, the nonprofit. My career as an educator, but I can't wait to start dabbling into real estate just to add on
Right.
another source of income. So that's always been my goal, and my goal is going to continue to stay the same. That I'm going to try to go for anything that I could go for because God
Yeah.
graciously gave me opportunity, and the goal is
That's
multiple
dope.
sources of
Yeah,
income.
like it's like I mean, it's like you said. There's there's times that there's seasons, right? There's seasons that this business is going to be doing well, just you know because of the nature of that business, right? There's certain industries, maybe not necessarily any of the industries that you're in right now, but just overall in business, there's ups and downs. There's seasons, there's waves of
Mhm.
success and times when it's just slow. And that's something that I
Yeah.
think people definitely need to prepare for. If it's something that they're looking at, starting a business of some sort. Um, but yeah, it comes with the territory, right? It's just one of those things, like you said. Some of it's challenges. It's things that not everybody sees on the outside. I was gonna I was gonna comment, like when you were talking about your clothing brand. It's like, oh, the shirt just doesn't show up on the website, all pretty and just designed. I just have to press buy. It's like, no, there's a lot of
Mhm.
behind the scenes stuff that goes on.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
when would you say that you first became passionate about? I mean, I guess I want to say like just the whole entrepreneur thing. I was gonna say clothing, but you were seem to be a all around uh, entrepreneur and willing to, like you said, to as long as you have an opportunity to chase after something. Um, when do you feel like that kind of sparked in you?
I feel like it was always in me, even when I was younger and I was at middle school.
Hmm.
I go to the CVS right there on Sweetwater Road. It used to be Long's Drugs,
Yep.
and I would go in there, and on I think it was like Tuesdays they would drop their jewelry down to a discount. So I would buy their watches for like $12, $15. Then I'd go
Uh
back
huh.
to school and I'd sell them for 20 or 25. I do that all the time. And it first started with just like 2 watches. I remember I was like, let me buy these two. I got $40. Let me buy these 2 watches. I'm gonna flip them for like $5, $10 more. And that's what I started doing. And then it went from that to like back then during middle school, it was Pokemon on Game Boy.
Yeah.
So people wanted to battle each other. They needed a USB cord to connect from Game Boy to Game Boy. So I would either bring extra USB cords and I would sell them, or I would rent mine out for a certain period of time. So I would like tape it with my name on it, and I would rent it out to people. So that kind of like I did it without thinking that I was doing it.
Yeah.
Selling chicles, selling chips, selling whatever I could sell. I've always had it in me, but I think when it sparked, it was when the opportunity presented itself. When the idea for the clothing brand came in, when the opportunity to open up the second barbershop location came in, and then when those opportunities presented themselves, right away, Nipsey was killed. And Nipsey is somebody that I would always look up to. Nipsey was somebody to listen to, and he talked a lot about like, you know, gang stuff and, you know, money and flossing and those kind of things. But if you listen to his words, you would listen to how he came up from a rural community, a community that he wasn't supposed to make it out of, and he was able to make it out of. And if you listen to his music, he tells you how he did it. He says things like, you know, I 360 myself. To 360 is just to flip yourself, and to flip yourself is to invest in yourself, right? And he also talks about cutting out the middleman. So he'll make sales where, you know, if there's a middleman that needs to be approached, like for example, like let's just say for his music, right? Like you make the music and then you got to pay a company to manufacture the CDs and the cover for it. He did all that. And so by doing that, you save money, so therefore you profit more. So when I was just listening to him, I would listen to him and I would catch his game, but that was it. I wouldn't really apply anything. And then when he passed away, and you know, people were throwing like funeral ceremonies for him, and I was thinking to myself, man, like I really looked up to Nipsey. Nipsey was really a cool dude. I only met him one time, and that was the only time I ever needed to meet him. And I was just thinking to myself, like, there's no way that I can say that this guy motivated me or encouraged me and then never do anything with what I learned from him.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, nah, like, if I'm going to say that this guy really motivated me, let me apply some of the things that I learned from him into my life. And that's when it sparked. That's when I really saw my mindset shift, the way I spoke to people, the way I communicate with people, the way I network, the way I just wake up in the morning, you know, like those things dramatically changed, and that was when the spark came in as far as being able to manage all these different things. Because I remember him, I listened to him one time, and he said something like, they asked him, "How do you deal with stress? You know, you have all these things going on. How do you deal with stress?" And his answer was so simple, and I use it for myself all the time. He said, well, the way I deal with stress is I remember that this is what I asked for. And to manage all these things is not easy. So when stress comes, I tell myself, this is what it's supposed to feel like. This is what hard work feels like. Yeah. Because if it was easy, everybody else would do it.
Yep.
So when I feel it, I'm in class and my barber calls me, hey, the sink doesn't work. And at the same time, I get a text from my manufacturer because I had a photo shoot planned for tomorrow with the new merch.
Right.
And they're like, hey, you know, we're going to have to push back 5 days. And I'm just like, oh. It's like all these things going on.
Right.
This is what it's supposed to feel like.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be stressful.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be hard because the reward that's coming after is much greater than the stress that we have to deal with. So I just know that, you know, through hard work, through commitment, through discipline, through time management, everything that we have an opportunity for is going to take care of itself.
Yeah. You said for you to not do something, after learning what you learned from Nipsey, right, would be a disservice. Um, and it makes me think of I remember I was involved with this, network marketing business one time. This guy came up and he spoke from the stage, and he was talking about, my mentor, Jim Rohn. I was like, dang, dude, this guy's being mentored by Jim Rohn. Like, dang. And then the more I got to know him and talk to him, I was like, he never spent any physical time with Jim Rohn, but he was listening to, tapes and videos, and
Dang.
that was his mentor. Like, in his world, that
Yeah.
was his mentor. And I feel like especially now with the internet, man, we got YouTube, like and anybody can be your mentor, right? And being able to take those
And
lessons and those
yeah.
messages, and really get to the place where you're applying them in life, like we talked about earlier, you got to be able to build yourself up and encourage yourself to get to that point where you're listening to other people and you're willing to apply things, because sometimes those are hard things, those are they're habits that need to be broken in our own lives, that somebody's telling us or trying to teach us to do. um, and those are the challenges. That's where a lot of people get stuck, because like you said, if it was easy, then everybody would be doing it. And we see in our world that not everybody is doing it, because there's challenges. It's hard,
Hmm.
and you got the circle of people that will
Yeah.
complain, well, oh, my life is so difficult. Well, okay, well, let's get to work. I'll help you. Oh, well,
Hmm.
and it's the excuses, and that's
Hmm.
that's where, and I'm not saying I've never made an excuse before, because I have. We talked about it a little bit before, just in getting this thing started, this whole podcast. There's plenty of times I told myself, well, yeah, they couldn't get on this week, so maybe next week I'll interview them, and we just make excuses over things in life, and that's where you don't get the reward. You'll never get the reward if you continue to make those excuses.
Yep.
uh
Yeah.
I want you to talk a little bit about, where, where you came from and how you got to where you are here. Like, you need to get all
Hmm.
the details. If there's some, dirty
Hmm.
details in there that you don't want to share, that's all good. But just I want people to understand that, you know, maybe you aren't completely where you want to be yet. You're in pursuit still. Um, but I want people to understand that we've all had challenges in life, right? We've all had things that we've had to overcome. um and so, maybe share a couple of things that you've had to overcome in life, maybe mindsets, or um like you said, you grew up in, a lot of your friends were, maybe gang members or whatever, like, whatever it is that you feel like you personally, Toby, had to overcome to get to where you are today. What are some of those things?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody has a story, and I think our story is what make, like, yeah. Last night I was talking to I call him OG.
Okay.
He's an old timer. He's one of the
Uh-huh.
vatos from Barrio Logan,
Yeah.
and he's a cool dude. And he was like, man, I was looking at your stories. You be going out to eat to nice places, man. Like, what's up with you, man? You bougie or what? And then I honestly, like, I was having a good conversation with him, and then that question made me think, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I deserve to be bougie now. Whenever I want to. And the reason why I say that is because I come from, both my parents are, illegal citizens of the United States. They're not
Mhm.
U.S. citizens. They both illegally crossed the border. My mom was pregnant with my sister,
Mhm.
when she crossed the first time,
Wow.
and then she went back, and then she crossed again
Uh-huh.
when she was pregnant with me. And her whole goal was just like, let me have my kids be born in the United
Mm.
States and give them a better chance.
Yeah.
That was my first blessing, that my parents decided to do something illegal
Mhm.
just to give us a better opportunity. So that's those are my parents. And growing up, my dad was always the breadwinner. My mom, to this day, she's your typical Mexican mom, cooks,
Yeah.
cleans, takes care of the kids, and then that's it. Never worked a day in her life. here in the United States. She doesn't speak English. She doesn't drive.
Uh-huh.
She's that lady. And then my dad, like I said, he was the one that would go to work. He'd bring the money home. He'd have 2 or 3 jobs. That was him working,
Yeah.
and providing for us. So I'm always grateful for that. I saw my dad work hard, and honestly, I think that's where I get it from. There's days where, I'm at school teaching, and then school ends at 3:30, and then I drive to my barbershop, and I'm there at 4 to 7. Do 3 or 4 haircuts, and manage the shop, talk to people, network. And all at the same time, like I'm talking to people on the phone or whatever the case. And then 7:30, I go up to Santee to a manufacturing center where some of my stuff is being sewn on or custom made, tailored shirts, whatever. And I'm there till about 9:30. And by the time I get home, it's 10, and I left my house at 5:30 in the morning. But all that brings me joy, and that hard work reminds me of my dad when he had his 2 3 jobs, and he would come home and take 15-minute naps, and then he would just leave again. So I would see my dad work hard. I saw my mom very disciplined and very loving in the house, and then my dad went to prison, and then I saw my mom step it up. I saw her just like figure it out, like. And she always tells, like, my mom, I think she went to like 5th or 6th grade, and then that was it. Like, she didn't finish school after that. So there'll be times where before, she doesn't say it anymore, or not around me, but there was times when she would say things like, "Oh, I'm not very smart." I'm like, "Mom, you're the smartest woman I know." She's like, "What makes you say that?" I'm like, "Well, first, you had children in a country that's not your home country. And then the man that was taking care of you went to prison. So now you had to feed yourself and your 3 kids. You don't speak the language, but yet you figured out how to submit an application for welfare. You don't know how to write in English, but you submitted an application for EBT. You don't know how to read flyers in English, but yet you found out where they were giving out free food, free turkeys. You talked to people, you were conversing with people. You figured it out. Like the whole time that my dad was locked up, we still had a roof over our head. We still had clothes. We still had food. We had the basic necessities. So we had everything we needed. And it reminds me of one of the Psalms. I think it's Psalms 23, where King David literally just starts off with, um, "The Lord is my shepherd; I shall not want." That's it. That's all I need to be reminded of. Because King David he was a king. He had everything. He had his palace. He had his clothes. He had his food. He had his servants. He had his army. He had all these things. But he said, "The Lord is my shepherd; I shall not want." Like, God is enough. So the love that my mom was giving us, I didn't know at the time, but it was God's love, because she always remained in the Word. She was always in that. So she was always showing us like genuine love. So seeing her go through welfare, us eating welfare food, us not having a Christmas tree for Christmas, us going to events to get free turkeys, seeing my mom barely scrap on with money and just barely make it by. It motivated me to where when I was 17 and I got my first job, I think I was already making like $20 an hour, which was more than my dad ever made. So I remember I could have gone partying. I could have gone like buy me a car or something, but I just remember going home like after I had gotten a raise, and I just told my mom that I was going to start paying the rent fully from now on, and she didn't have to worry about it anymore. And I remember that conversation. I remember, what she looked like when she gave me that look. Like, dang, you're gonna take care of the house? Like, no, you go out with your friends. I'm like, my friends will be there forever. Like the club will be there when I'm older, but right now I want to be able to provide for the house. And then that motivated me to be even more of a man. I guess I was trying to grow out of that phase of like being a boy and being somebody that my mom supported, to now let me be a man and let me support my mom. So that was always my encourager. Even like getting my master's degree, like I walked up on stage and they called my name and they handed me my diploma, and when I walked back down, I handed it to my mom. I was like, that was for you, like you're the one that gave me birth here in the States. You're the one that gave me a chance, so that's for you. And so just always having that on the back of my mind, the struggles that we had to go through, and seeing my mom really put up a fight with life to make us just tick, just to make us allow us to have an opportunity. That's my drive. That's my motivation. So um, seeing my family do well is always a blessing. Um, Seeing my dad do well is always a blessing. Seeing my friends do well is always a blessing. So now today where I'm at, having a group of friends that are not friends anymore, but they're family, and we literally talk to ourselves like brothers, and we go out to dinner and we have nice
Yeah.
things, and we have nice cars, and we have nice clothes, and our family is good, and our family throws birthday parties that are not nothing like how we grew up, just because we're
Yeah.
available, we have the availability now, the finances, we have all those things. um, those are the blessings that God has gifted me with. So even in the moment of them happening, I don't take them for granted, because like my boy reminded me last night, like, oh, you're bougie, you're going to nice restaurants. Yeah, but even in that nice restaurant, when the chef is literally cooking my
Yeah.
food in front of me, like Shoguns or like Benny Hondas, I still remember, the white box from welfare that just said cereal. I still
Right.
remember that big old block of cheese that tasted
Yeah.
horribly, but it was cheese. I still remember having to pick my peanut butter out with a knife because it was so hard and stiff, and I put it in a bowl and mix it with
Dang.
olive oil to soften it up, and then put it
Yeah.
on my. I remember those things still. And I think that me remembering where I come from is what motivates me to go even farther, because the victory is already there. Like, if I
Yeah.
were to go out today, like, I already won. I have life insurance
Yep.
policies. I have trust funds now where my family is good. Like, if I think I'm worth more dead than I am alive. And 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 if I were to go out, I've already, even with the unassailable company, like, it's already set to
Yeah.
where, like, if something was to happen to me, my boy's gonna run it. You know, it's already a thing. And like I said, man, if I were to go out today, the victory is already there. So now that the victory is already mine, like, everything else that happens after this is just a plus. It's just a bonus. So my drive comes from my childhood,
Yeah.
and remembering those tough times, to now looking at the good times now and just being like, man, like, I genuinely remember
That's
not
dope,
having
man.
this.
Thank you for sharing all that, because I mean, I got a lot from that. And what I think was really important that you said, it's right at the end, um, is about the life insurance, the trust funds, like the preparation that you've already made for the legacy to continue. And I think that's something that, you know, it doesn't get taught in schools nowadays. It's not something that is, your everyday education. That's stuff that we have to pick up on our own after the fact. Nowadays, like I said, there's YouTube and there's plenty
Mm-hmm.
of places to get that information, but what is going to cause us to seek it out? And for you, you're on a path
Yeah.
of entrepreneurship, of building businesses, of building a legacy. you know but the thing that I was thinking about was, you had mentioned, early on your dad was your mentor, and then later your mom. And I start to think about specifically the young men in our world, and how I feel like there's been, there's they've been challenged. Young men in being able to move forward in life and be successful. Um, what would you say? So I guess it's kind of a combination question. Um, what kind of advice would you give to someone that might be watching this, video, or listening to this audio, and wants to know, well, Toby, where do I start? I don't have money right now. I have a dream. I have an idea. and I want to build this business. Like, where do I start? What kind of advice can you give them? And kind of in the same vein is combination question. Like let's pretend that was you, the 16-year-old in high school, struggling,
Mm-hmm.
sees his mom struggling, sees his dad struggling, working 3 jobs. They don't have the nicest house, they don't have the nicest clothes, but they got a dream, they got a goal. What kind of advice would you give, yourself, the 16-year-old, or that 16-year-old that's out there today?
I think the advice that I would give them, and it's the one thing that drives me, is our why. Like, why are we doing it? What's the
Mm,
reason? And my reason was to make my mom proud. My reason is to make my mom proud. Um, I think that everybody's reason, everybody's why is different, but I think it starts from that. Identify your why. Why do you want success? Why is it that um, you want to go for that idea, for that goal? And the reason why that's important is because your why has to be the biggest thing. It has to be your biggest, it has to be like the thing that brings you the most joy, and it has
mm-hmm,
to be the thing that brings you the most fear.
mm,
Because your why has to be the reason why you do it, and then your why has to be the reason why you won't allow yourself to not do it.
mm,
I think it starts there. So as a 16-year-old, find out your why. Why do you want to do it? Is it because you want to bless your family? Is it because you want to bless yourself? Is it because you want to bless your community? Is it because you want to prove your haters wrong? Whatever it is, find that why. And then once you find the why, you know, you could get like, oh, like philosophical, and hey, in Proverbs this, or in James this, it says faith without works is dead.
yeah,
That you could spit Bibles verses all day, but
right,
at the end of the day, is where's your faith? Like, where is your faith? Is your faith unlimited? Is your faith, does it come with restrictions? Does it come with doubts? Because if your faith comes with doubts, then it's not faith. It's just a hope. But when you have faith in a higher power, when you have faith in God,
yeah,
knowing that He blesses you, knowing that He's the one that gives you the breath in your lungs, knowing that He loves you. I went to the Heart Revolution in TJ on Sunday, and I heard
uh-huh,
Pastor Carlos, and he said, those that understand that God loves them are unstoppable.
mm,
Because if you understand that you are loved by your creator, that should motivate you to know that whatever it is that you need, he will give it to you. Whether it's in 10 seconds or whether it's in 10 years. But to know that it's coming, it's already coming. So when you have faith that whatever it is that you want to achieve is actually tangible, and you're going to be able to manifest it, no matter if it takes you a week or if it takes you a year or 5 years, but it's actually going to happen. And then your reason, your why drives you towards that goal, then there literally is no stopping you. There's it's just unheard of. So have a reason why you want the success, and then have faith that you will be provided for, and have faith in yourself that you are smart enough, that you are hardworking enough, that you can learn new things quickly. So the why, your faith, and then at the end, you got to put in the work. So if you're starting from scratch and you have no mentors and you got no money, nothing, I'm pretty sure people have a phone. And if they have
everybody's
a
got a
phone,
phone, right?
and if they have a phone, they have access to Google and to YouTube. That's where I started.
Mm,
I learned that YouTube was beneficial when I needed to go to my first wedding and I didn't know how to tie a tie.
mm,
So I looked it up.
yeah,
And then I didn't know how to do an oil change in my car. So I looked it up. And that's when I fell in love with YouTube.
yeah,
And then I decided to go back to school to get my master's degree in secondary education.
uh-huh,
They were teaching me educational tactics for me to be a good teacher, but they weren't reteaching me the math.
Mm.
After high school, I took like 5 years with no math class.
Yeah.
So even though I was good at math, I needed to refresh my math skills. So what did I do? YouTube. When I wanted to learn how to start a clothing brand, YouTube. YouTube has everything. Google has everything.
Yeah.
So as a 16-year-old kid, 17-year-old kid, whatever young kid that wants to just flip their life around, first, identify your biggest why.
Mm-hmm.
Second, increase your faith. Pray more, go to church more, be around brothers that have faith, see faith manifested in real life. And then three, just get to work. Put in the work. Put in the work and then get to it. And then whatever it is that you want to accomplish, you'll be able to accomplish it.
YouTube University, man.
YouTube University.
Now, so it's funny you say about learning how to tie a tie. I was a best man in a wedding, and my boy brings out a bow tie. I was like, "What's that?" Like a legit bow tie. It wasn't a little clippy clip. Like it was like a
Yeah.
bow tie. Like tie this bow tie. I was like, "What's up?" He's like, "Well, it's my tie." Like he's like, "You're the best man. You gotta help me tie this." I was like, "I don't know how to tie that." Hey, give me a regular tie, I'll tie that. I don't know how to tie a bow tie. So there we were on YouTube trying to figure it out. And so we did. And then after that, it kind of started this string with me where I was buying bow ties all the time. And so I started wearing bow ties because I knew how to tie one now.
Yeah.
And it was, a little different, little different than what everybody else was wearing. But
Yeah.
all right. So if you want to run down your businesses that you're involved right now, involved with, uh, and any kind of connection online, so we can find them. Let us know
Mm-hmm.
where we can find you and what it is that you're doing with each one of them.
Mm. Well, I first got to give props to my my career, and that's Sweetwater High School District. They take care of me nicely. So the Sweetwater District is a good school for has good schools for any kids, any family that wants to bring their kids. So for that's
Yeah.
that. I'm also the athletic coordinator here at my school. So I'm a math teacher and the athletic coordinator at my school. So that teaches me a lot of management of people. It teaches me a lot of analytic stuff, organization of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
of looking at data, identifying what works and what doesn't work, and how do we modify it or how do we change it, how do we differentiate it for students that are lower level versus students that are higher level. So those are the things that I'm dealing with on a constant basis.
Right.
And also too, like the team that I have here, working with admin, working with the ASB people, working with my other teachers, that teaches me a lot about business without it actually being a
Mm-hmm.
business. um Also have Unassailable Company clothing brand. It's a faith-based clothing brand. Unassailable means unable to be attacked, questioned, or defeated. That's unassailableco.com. All of our products are faith-based. They're a little different than what's out in the streets. I take pride in that. Not every clothing brand that is a streetwear brand has shirts where they have tags stitched on them, or they're printed with high density printing or puff
Mm-hmm.
printing or gold foil print and stuff like that. So thank God that I have access to that. So that's how our products kind of differentiate compared to what's out in the
Cool.
streets. We also have two premium blends barbershops. The first one is in National City Boulevard on 6th. My brother Marco, he runs that one, and he's the CEO of Premium Blends. I'm just his assistant. That's the way I like to
Cool.
see it. I help him out with the whole, backside of Premium Blends, the finances, the ordering the products, the ordering of merchandise, and whatever the case is. I use the same manufacturers that produce our merch for Unassailable Company to produce our merch for Premium
Nice.
Blends. So same thing, quality product, quality hats. Um, so we have the barbershops going. Right now we have 8 barbers, actually 9 barbers. So we are a growing team, And also too, just recently, a month and a half ago, Sweetwater High School invited us over for a meeting. And what's happening there is that starting in
Mm-hmm.
January, we're actually starting a apprenticeship program in Sweetwater High
Nice.
School for kids that want to learn how to cut hair or want to learn how to manage a business. We're going to start it off in January, and that's going to go for about 2 months where it's just at Sweetwater. Then after the 2 months, then we're going to identify the kids that are really interested in the program, and we're going to invite them over to the barbershop, and they're going to have experience cutting hair, using the clippers, what kind of clippers we're using. I'm also going to teach them like how we order our merchandise, how we order our product, what are some of the certificates they need in order for them to be able to start their own barbershop, like like a business license and their actual license to cut
Right.
hair and stuff like that. So that's going to be a blessing, only because now we're touching the next generation of kids that want to go into the barbershop industry. So we have those two, and then we have our nonprofit, which is called It Ends With Us. We're fairly new. We've only been around for like 6 months. Um, we're so new that we're still working on our website, but we do have an EIN number. We are a legit nonprofit that's registered in California. Um, we already did an event where we donated 300 backpacks with school supplies. We donated hoodies, T-shirts. We donated food, and not only did we do that in conjunction with our church,
Mm-hmm.
Heart Rep Church, but we also donated hoodies and backpacks to the kids over at Cesar Chavez Elementary School. We donated to Lincoln Acres Elementary School. And even before we were a legit nonprofit, we were already doing things in our community, like giving away bikes for Christmas and giving away turkeys for Thanksgiving. So we're going to continue to do that. And, God willing, that the nonprofit will blow up and we'll be able to do a lot more in our community. My hope is to just bless kids, bless families. My heart is with single
Yeah.
mothers, uh, because that's
Yeah.
the way I grew up. I saw my mom, and being a single mother with her husband in prison and having to take care of 3 kids. Like, I saw her really benefit from free turkeys, free Christmas presents for the kids, free lunches and stuff like that. So I just want to give back to my community. So we do that with the It Ends With Us, and then also too, um, it's not really like a business, but I treat it as such. Just the church, Heart Revolution Church, and I give my a lot of my time to
Yeah.
the church, and it doesn't always have to be at the church. It could be
Yep.
outside the church, whether I'm having lunch with a brother or I'm opening up my barbershop for life group, and men come to my barbershop on Tuesday nights at 7, like we did last night, and we just talk about the word. We talk about things that men struggle with, and we share our struggles with each other, and we just encourage each other, primarily using the word of God, and also the brothers that come along. So we got all those things going on. All of it is an opportunity. All of it is a blessing, and I'm just grateful that God has entrusted me with those things.
Amen. So, hey, okay, quick question: where do I sign up to get like the extra hours in the day that you're getting? Because, bro, yeah, man, that's I always trip out how eh, like I said, I've done it in the past, so I've made excuses. Oh, I can't,
Yeah,
but it's we have the same amount of time that you know the Jeff Bezos, the
you know, when
screen.
when when I first started all of this, and in December 8th, coming up in a couple months, I'm actually going to start my credential program to become a principal. Um, so my admin credential, and
Uh huh.
I had to submit a application. I had to submit references. I had to submit a paper that I shared why I think I would be a good administrator. And it took
Yeah.
about 3 months to hear back, but I heard back, and hey, I got accepted, and the program starts on this month, and blah 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 blah. And as soon as I got that letter, I thought to myself, how am I going to fit this in? But at that point, I just said, God, this is your will and not mine.
Yeah.
All I know is that God has blessed me with discipline to manage my day, to schedule my days. I schedule all my days. Even if I'm going
Wow.
to the gym, I'm going to a date, I'm going on lunch, I'm gonna take a nap.
Yeah.
I schedule all of it, and I just go on a timely manner. And if it says that at 9 a.m. I'm going to be swimming, then at 9 a.m. I'm swimming. I have
Yeah.
things scheduled by time. So my advice for people that are wondering, how do you get so much done? Well, first you're gonna have to lose some hours of sleep. I sleep about
Yeah.
5.5 to 6.5 hours a day, and I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Sometimes, if I'm able to, I'll take a little 20-minute nap in the middle of the day. That doesn't happen quite as often as it used to, but hey, if it's open, it's open. I take it. But
Yeah.
literally, my day starts super early, and my day starts off the same every single day. It's worship, prayer, and the Word of God for about 45 minutes every single morning. As I'm drinking my coffee, as I'm getting ready for the day, that's what I do
Yeah.
first. I start my day off with peace at the very beginning. I know some people that wake up and they just go, and that works.
Yeah.
That works for them. And if it works for them, then albeit. But for me, nah. I need to start my day off with peace. And then as soon as I start off with peace and I have an open heart and I'm willing to serve and I'm willing to receive, then my day starts. And then whatever my schedule says, that's what I do. I'm very big on my calendar on my phone. I'm very
Yeah.
big on to-do lists. Like I walk around with this thing on a daily basis. It has a lot of the things that I need to get done. I have my
Hmm.
task list on my phone. I have reminders on my phone. Um, I have people that help me out a lot. So all of it is possible, but you just have to manage your time. And if you can
Yeah.
time, then you can do whatever it is that you
Cool, man. Cool. Well, I appreciate your time today, Toby, for fitting me into the calendar.
want. Sure.
I hope people are able to to gain some knowledge, some wisdom, some motivation from today's episode. And we'll make sure to put up all the businesses, any way people can connect with you. Well, I'll get all that information from you. We'll make sure it gets up on the screen and in the comments of wherever this video is posted, wherever the audio is posted, and make sure people can connect with you. And any last words you got to say, you want to
Uh,
share with the people?
um, just there always has to be a reason why we do everything we do, and I think that my reason, and I believe that my reason is Jesus, and the freedom that He gives us, the fact that He died for us. We shouldn't just take that death and just live a basic life. Like we were meant for so much greater. Like if your creator
Yeah.
and your savior was willing to die for you, it wasn't for you to go and be working at a 9 to 5 and then come home and eat food and watch Netflix and then take a shower and then repeat the same thing the next day. Like that's not what like God died for you for. But if that's your
Right.
thing, that's your thing. But to me, there's so much greater, and the word of God is what drives me. And I know that I fail at times, but it sustains me and it picks me up. So my last words would just be to seek God first and His goodness, and then once you get there and you reach your goal, don't forget to tell everybody that it was God that put you through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen. All right, brother. Well, again, thanks for being here. And we'll see all of y'all Mavens on the next episode of the Maven Workshop. Make sure you
Hey.
check out Toby, Unassailable Company, all his endeavors out there on the internet. If you need a haircut, go hit him up at Premium Blends. And we'll see you on the next episode. Peace.
Peace.